People and cultures have many different origins and stories, and some of these stories inspire truth, tradition, and value. And as we go north, we expect to find a deficiency of life. However, some places up north stand firm and tall, fighting against the elements. And today, we are returning a little more north to a country known as Denmark and finding out that it, in fact, has an abundance of life and moments. Yo, everybody, welcome back to FTD Facts. My name is Dave Wapple, and yeah, guys, I'm excited. This is a part 2 on Denmark. Boopity boopity boom! I'm pretty excited for this because I've really had a great time learning about some of the northern countries such as Sweden and Finland and now Denmark, and I'm glad that actually our first video caught on and you guys were like, man, we want to see actually a lot more. Not to say that these countries are better than the other countries that we've talked about, it's just nice to learn something new, right? Now before we get in this video, guys, I want to let you guys know a little bit about Grammarly.com. I'm going to talk to you guys more about this at the end of this video because these guys are our sponsor. But on top of that, I also got to say that for a lot of you guys in our first video, you guys had some really awesome things to say about Denmark. A lot of you guys had really positive things. Some of you guys were even from Denmark. And some of you guys even wrote into us giving us facts and saying, hey, how could you forget about this fact? But don't worry, guys, that's what part 2s are for. Now, in speaking of some of the facts that you guys mentioned in our first video, you guys stated that Denmark has the oldest flag in the world. And I kind of wonder, is that true or not? Because Denmark is a country that has a lot of age and a lot of history and a lot of experience. She may be a mature country with mature people, but as for the oldest flag, well, that's not actually 100% true because there are much older flags. But that doesn't diminish the fact that Denmark has the oldest continuous flag in the world. So one thing that's really fascinating about this red flag with the white stripes, which is known as the Danebrog, or commonly to other people, the Danish cloth. However, many of the kings of Denmark used this red flag with white crosses as early as 1307. But it's also thought to have been developed after the Battle of Lindenice in 1219. But either way, the Guinness Book of World Records has given the country of Denmark the official title of having the oldest continuous flag. So that's number 1. And you know, considering we're talking about symbols such as flags, let's talk about other national symbols of the country, and that is animals. So when it comes to national symbols and animals, not a lot of countries really do have animals as a national symbol, but as for Denmark, it's one of the few that does, and it's one of the fewer that actually has 2 national animals. These 2 are the elegant mute swan, which has been a national bird since 1984 when it replaced the skylark. And even going even smaller, let's not forget about the small tortoiseshell butterfly. And although these 2 are beautiful in their own way, Denmark is the only country that uses these animals as their representation. And heck, while we're at it, we might as well mention that the national flower is called the Marguerite daisy. Beautiful and elegant, but not deadly. Alright, so we've talked about symbols, we've talked about the flag, but you know, when it comes to Denmark, what is one of the first things that you imagine? Would it be bicycles? Well, it probably would be because a lot of people ride them in that country. You could almost say that it has the most cyclists per capita if there was actually a study done. But take Copenhagen, for example, many people ride them everywhere. And one thing that this country has that no other country has, at least not that I'm aware of, is a bicycle superhighway. That's right. It extends 22 kilometers long, connecting Copenhagen to the outer suburban towns. As well as if you look at the roads, there are certain bike lanes that are actually designed differently from the sidewalk and from the road. This is because their bike lanes are on a different raised level than the sidewalk and the road. And one thing that Denmark boasts is that its country has more bikes than they do cars. As a matter of fact, they have an estimated 4.2 million bicycles to 1.8 million cars. That's really good. These guys are super green. And if we were to break it down, they say approximately 43% of cyclists are males and 57% are females. And with everybody biking around, it covers 26% of all of the trips in the country, with an average cyclist going 1.6 kilometers a day.
The kids have training at schools in the 3rd year, 3rd grade, and again in the 9th grade, and they have to do proficiency tests on the bike lane signaling and all that stuff. My son, who's 8, he was riding on the bike lanes to kindergarten with me, or to daycare when he was 3 and a half, with his training wheels, riding along. And it's just the way it is. You have to. It's a practical solution. The kids have to start riding so you can get around the city.
A lot of times in the U.S., when you're riding your bike, you feel almost like an outlaw. You feel like, can I just find a little tiny bit of space for myself? Here, you feel like they're just laying out the red carpet for you.
Now with all this biking, you can imagine that a lot of people are really healthy in Denmark. And as a matter of fact, they did a study, which I don't really know how they got these numbers. I guess they based it off of another country with a similar population. But they say they get 1.1 million fewer sick days than other countries. Again, I don't really know how they got that, but one thing I can say for sure is that if there's a lot of cyclists, that means a lot of people in Denmark really got firm butts. You know what I'm saying? Because they're like, getting in shape. And actually, speaking of health and health care, most people may not know this, maybe even the people within the country may not know this, but the Herlev Hospital is the tallest building in all of Denmark. And it's also considered the 8th tallest hospital in the entire world. It has 28 floors and stands 390 feet tall. And I'm not gonna lie, it looks more like an apartment complex more than a hospital, but I mean, I guess that's what they end up looking like when they get so big. But the Herlev Hospital was built in 1975, and they get about 82,000 patients a year, and it is located in Herlev, which is near Copenhagen. And okay, we talked about the tallest thing in Denmark, let's talk now about the biggest. And I'm not talking buildings, I'm talking islands, and not tropical ones. Ooh yeah. And for islands, when it comes to Denmark, the biggest of them all is Sealand Island. And this island is ranked the 13th largest in all of Europe. And as a matter of fact, it's not just the most populated island in all of Denmark, but it's also the 4th most populated island in all of Europe as well. With a population of over 2,267,000 people, it has cities like Copenhagen, Helsingør, Greve, and of course Roskilde. And the island itself makes up 39% of the entire population of Denmark. But as for size, it stretches to be 7,031 kilometers square with an average height of 125 meters. So, we know that Denmark is one of the oldest countries, we know that Denmark has the oldest continuous flag, but what about cities and structures? What is the oldest place in Denmark that is confirmed? This is the town of Ribe. This is the town of Ribe, and it's been around for a long time. With a population of slightly over 8,000 people, it claims to all of its tourists that it is not just the oldest town in all of Denmark, but the oldest in all of Scandinavia. Being first established in the 8th century with an attested document for the city dated in 1854. And as a matter of fact, the Ribe Cathedral is one of the oldest buildings in all of Denmark. Being built in 1860 along with the town, in 2010 it had its 1300th anniversary birthday, which was a giant party and I really wish I didn't miss it. However guys, that is us just peering into another great country for a part 2 video. Sure, we've missed a lot of other amazing great aspects to this country, such as the fact that we could dive deeper into its culture, history, and even maybe talk about its Nobel Prizes that its citizens has won. Or maybe perhaps its overall achievements such as being developers of Skype and Google. Denmark remains to be a very fascinating country to learn about, and perhaps we will explore more of it in the next episode. Which reminds me guys, before you guys get out of here, check out Grammarly.com because these guys are our sponsor, and you know, I gotta say they're a really good sponsor because first of all they have a free program, or if you want to upgrade that's amazing, but they're really fantastic at really improving your own grammar and English skills. You just type stuff online and it fixes it right there. So the link for that is going to be in the description box below. But my name's Dave Walpole and it's been awesome hanging out with you guys. Be sure to leave comments for future FTD Facts videos down there, and yes, if we missed facts, put them down there and let us know if for all those people who live in Denmark, where do you live, where are you from, and what sort of stuff could we learn from you? But this is Denmark, a country and people with great culture, of age and maturity. It is a place that has been present since the dawn of the modern world, contributing to our advancement towards the human race that we know of today. This is a country that has remained true to its heritage, being symbolized by the age of its flag, while its white cross against the red backdrop reminds us of strength and honesty against the blowing winds of time. Hey, did you guys like this video? Did you miss our first one? Well, check out our first facts on Denmark right here. Other than that, if you guys want to learn more about the northern countries, such as Sweden or maybe even Finland. And until next time, we'll see you in the next video.